Hi guys, this is day 16 of the 42-day revision challenge, and today we are doing merit goods and demerit goods. So if you look at merit goods and demerit goods, both of these merit goods and demerit goods are what we call private goods. They are private goods because they are rival and excludable. As we said earlier in our video for public goods, like if a good is rival, consumption by one person will leave less for another, and if it's excludable, it is easy for us to exclude those who pay and those who do not pay. And once the good is provided, we can easily exclude those who do not pay. So a private good is one that is both rival and excludable, and we say this that both merit goods and demerit goods are private goods. They are private. For example, let's start with merit goods. When we look at merit goods, a good example of merit good could be education. Education is private in nature. Why? Because again, when you provide education to one person, less of it is available for other people. A and B, if you do not pay for your school fee, you will not be allowed to come to the school, so it's excludable as well. So when you look at education, it's a private good. But what makes it merit is the fact that it has two features to it. Number one, there is what we call a positive externality. And number two feature that makes it a merit good is that there is an information failure. And because of both of these features, the problem that happens in merit goods is that it is under provisioned. Under provision means either it's under consumed or it's under produced, but it's under provision or not demanded enough as compared to what the society should consume. So let's talk about each feature. What is the positive externality that comes from education? So let me write this: positive externality. Positive externality means that there is a third party benefit that happens. So what do you mean by third party benefit? Let me write this: third party benefit. The third party benefit that happens because of education is this, that not only the consumer of the education or the producer of education benefits from education. For example, let's say the school and the consumer, which is the student, benefits from education. But because the student is consuming that education or demanding that education, it also results in the society to benefit. The society benefit in terms of a more productive resource, because now you're more educated. The society benefits because there is better decision making. The society will benefit because of more responsible individuals, because the individual is more educated. So the society also benefits in terms of higher income, more responsible individual, and so on. So there is a third party benefit or society, or what we call sometimes social benefit, along with what we call private benefit. So we say social benefit is equal to private benefit, which an individual will get, but alongside private benefit, there is also what we call an external benefit, the third party benefit that happens. And that external benefit makes society to benefit much more than the private benefit. So there is a positive externality that is attached with any merit good. Another good example of merit good could be, healthcare. If you decide to consume the right amount of healthcare, then you are healthy. If you are healthy, you're benefiting yourself. So there's a private benefit, but there is an external benefit as well, because if you decide to get more education, get more healthcare, you are keeping yourself healthy, which means more productive for the society, which means you live longer. Your expenditure or society's expenditure on fixing you later when you are really ill will be much low, and so on. So there is an external benefit that you provide to the society in terms of consuming the right amount of healthcare. So the feature of positive externality means that there is what we call people do not want to demand this good because there is an external benefit, but people only look at the private benefit. So what we say is that because of probably this positive externality, sometimes some benefits are not realized by individuals because they feel that since they are not benefiting from it, they should not be demanding it. So this could be one reason why This is one reason why demand is lower than what it should be. So that's one thing. The second feature, as I said earlier, is the information failure. The information failure is the part where we say this, that this is a good where the benefit, this is a good where the cost may incur today, but the benefit may happen in the future. What do we mean by this? Look at this. If you decide to invest more in education today, the only benefit you can see will happen probably much later when you go to the job market and start earning. And let's say if you decide to work really hard, go to a good school, spend a lot of money in terms of your education, go to the best university, all of this will result in higher job market sort of prospects, which may happen much later. So not knowing what the true benefit is, or not getting the benefit right now, means you may sometimes realize that the cost incurred today might be too much. So costs happen today, the benefit may happen tomorrow, and not knowing the exact amount of the benefit, you may decide to buy less of the good, because unlike other goods where the benefit happens right away, this may not be the case. Hence we can say that the demand may be much less because people do not have the right information. Like for example, if you go and buy a cookie from a store, you pay a cost of, let's say, $2, but the benefit may happen right away because you want to eat that cookie and you know exactly the benefit. So there's no time lag between when the benefit happens and when the cost is incurred. But here the cost is incurred today and the benefit happens much later. So this time lag between the benefit and the cost may sometimes make the decision making to be not ideal. So how do I show that in terms of a diagram? Well, if you look at demand and supply situation, this is just like a normal demand supply. So I'm going to say this is my price, my quantity, and let's say this is demand and supply for education, and let's say this is my demand and supply. Now we say demand is the private benefit or marginal private benefit. This is the benefit people get because of buying that good. Why is it marginal? Because it's incremental benefit for each quantity consumed, and supply is the marginal cost of providing this good. Now, because there's a negative externality which is resulting in demand to be much less, this demand and supply is leading to a price of P naught and a quantity of Q naught. From a society's perspective, what we argue is this, that people only look at the private benefit and not the external benefit. If they start to look at the external benefit, the demand should be much more. The demand should be, for example, like here. So this is what we call the ideal demand curve, which is called the marginal social benefit, where you look at your benefit, marginal private benefit, plus the positive externality. Because you ignore this positive externality, because you'll only look at your benefit, the result of this will be Q1 minus Q naught of what we call under provision. So there is a Q1 minus Q naught of under provision that happens because people only look at their interest and not the social interest, and also they may not have the right information to know the true benefit of this good. Let's now look at how demerit goods work. In the case of demerit goods, again, they are private goods, so they are basically rival and excludable. Example of a demerit good could be for cigarettes, and we know that cigarettes are harmful, right? And cigarettes are harmful not only because of passive smoking, where you harm not only yourself but others, but also they're harmful to you in terms of lower productivity, more health issues, and so on and so forth. So the case of demerit goods is also sort of two-pronged. it has a problem of what you call negative externality, where you are causing a harm to yourself and to society in terms of passive smoking, in terms of lower productivity, higher health issues, and so on. But also, there's an information failure, and the information failure is to do with the fact that the benefit of cigarettes happen today, but the cost is a long-term issue where you, because of your smoking, end up having health issues in the future. So because the benefit is today and the cost is incurred tomorrow, you might end up right now demanding more than required. So both of these cases result in demand to be higher than socially uh, desirable level. And the reason is simply because this good harms the society, as well as this good has an information failure. So if we draw the demand and supply diagram for these goods, you will see a situation. So let me write this quantity and price, and let's draw demand and supply. Again, demand is our marginal private benefit, supply is your marginal cost of providing that good, price is P naught and quantity is Q naught. Now we argue this Q naught quantity, this quantity is too high. Why is this quantity too high? Because this is a good which should not be consumed by people. Less of it should be consumed because it's causing a harm to society. So if the less quantity should be consumed, then the demand should be lower, like for example this one, and our demand should be called marginal social benefit. And this marginal social benefit equals to marginal private benefit plus negative externality. The negative externality should result in demand to be lower. In fact, if the society's sort of perspective is looked at, then Q1 should be consumed. So Q1 is the quantity that is socially desirable, Q0 is the quantity that is actually being bought, and therefore Q0 minus Q1 is what we call our over provision in the case of demerit goods. So just like merit goods are under provisioned, demerit goods are over provisioned, and that's why there is what we call a market failure in these goods. The market failure is not the right quantity is being produced. Either the quantity is too much or the quantity is too little.